All right, I'd like to open the April 23rd Foster Town Council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, just a couple announcements. Saturday is Earth Day. So hopefully you grabbed your bags. If not, you can fill some garbage and bring it down to the yard, and there'll be someone there to collect it all. On Saturday, I think it's 9 a.m. to noon, I believe. It's 9 to noon. Oh, it's a 1, maybe 1 o'clock. 9 to 1.
8 to 1. 8 to.
Oh, 8 to 2?
What?
I thought it was
Would you
9.
like me to look on Facebook and find
Yeah.
the posting? Hold on, I'll
Yeah.
look.
It's Saturday. That I do know.
That, yes. Oh, if I can get it. Oh, maybe.
The other announcement, so in honor of the 250th, for the May, June, and July meetings, we're gonna be having them at the townhouse. All right, we're gonna have them at the townhouse.
Would you say
So, May, June, and July. Right through the 4th.
Great time to do it.
Yep.
The 250th coming up. Let me just see. I can't get into Facebook over here.
We can come back to that. can bring it.
Oh, it's right here. Okay. Earth Day, 8 a.m.
Day.
to 2 p.m.
8 to 2, Saturday. Sorry, I didn't have the right time.
9 to 1.
Yep. So if you came between 9 and 1, you would.
Definitely
succeed.
full
Yeah.
in those hours. Yeah.
Okay, so I will
I'll
entertain
make,
a motion
Yeah.
to move item number 2 from old business ahead of consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to move item number 2 under old business, change order for the police building winterization to this point in the meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. Mr. Barrentine's excused for work today. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve change order number 7.
I'll make a motion to approve change order number 7 for police building winterization in the amount of $55,810.25.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay,
Nope.
No.
Also.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes. All right, consent agenda?
Steve, I'd like to make a motion to hold the minutes for April 9th.
Okay.
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented with the exception of the minutes for April 9th.
I already had a motion on the floor. We had to vote to pull it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You can
Second.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to remove the approval of minutes from the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that is pulled. Okay, the remainder of the consent agenda?
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda. Approval of the warrant FY 26.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Have. Make a motion. Need a motion for those?
Oh, so what do you want?
Motion for this.
Oh, to approve the minutes? for
Yeah,
April
I have
9th?
to abstain.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, I'm gonna make I'm making a motion to approve the minutes for April 9th, 2026.
Second. I thought we were making a change to it. That's why we
I
pulled
did
it.
too.
No, I have to abstain. I was,
Oh, okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
All right, old business. Police building update. So as you can see, if you've been by, the tower is up, the communication tower. That's a good sign. All the windows are in. They're working on the garage doors and the outside doors. Once that's all buttoned up, they're gonna start working on more on the inside. They do have a lot of electric run already inside. The low voltage is not run yet. And we're working on the grant, so we're still working on that. We got one more item before we submit it fully. That's a sign off. No.
So they have all of the materials and asked for a request that they felt like they had everything except that report. They haven't even looked at what I sent them yet. They said
Oh,
they'll
no,
try
I'm
to
sorry, I
get through
missed
it
that,
for
yeah.
they'll try to get into it for the next couple of weeks. So the grant's probably on hold for about a month.
About
anyway.
a month, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. So I'll give us some time to get that report back. So we had to do a ground study and through PAL.
We still on target for July 14th?
We are. We are still on target. Um. This is the last change order. That was already discussed. So that's the last change order. No more.
Good.
Good.
No more change
Good.
orders. I think that's all I have for the building update. Does anyone have any questions about the building? No? Council? No? I'm good?
No, on schedule.
On schedule.
That's good.
All right, the change order. So we have 1 year progress report from the municipal fellow.
Evening.
Good evening.
This is my, excuse me. Hi, sorry. So this is my 1 year progress report as a municipal fellow before the town council. Over the past year, my work as a fellow has been focused on laying the groundwork necessary for responsible housing development within the town. This has required a combination of efforts through development and compilation, coordinating with local partners and state agencies, and of course, pre-development planning for housing initiatives. While much of this work happens behind the scenes, it's nevertheless essential before any meaningful implementation can occur. So tonight I'll walk through where that work stands and, more importantly, how it positions the town to begin transitioning from planning into execution. So actually, if you go back to one, so this is the same, these are the 5 pillars, same 5 pillars that I've been working under. They represent the core framework for my scope of work, and all the progress over the past year falls within these categories: increasing housing stock and diversity, developer agency engagement, public engagement and education, comprehensive plan update, and infrastructure and grant seeking. So you'll see here that the work has followed a structured progression, beginning with the foundational analysis, moving into data development and coordination, and ultimately culminating in implementation readiness, which is where we're at in Q1, which was where my 1 year report has aligned. So this progression is intentional, and the phases were designed to support a more seamless transition into policy implementation. Status and deliverables. I provided a comparison between my deliverables at my 6-month report and my deliverables as they stand now. Since the 6-month report, several deliverables have progressed from conceptual or early stage and have either been completed or are actively advancing toward implementation. you can see, or if you, can you actually bring it a little bit more, just because it'll provide a percentage. Just to get the full. So right now we're at pretty much, I've completed about 79% of my actionable deliverables as outlined in my scope of work. Both sides goes into that a little more comprehensively. Again, this is where I was, or we were at, for my 6-month report. And you can see that only 21% of the actionable items were completed, and overall it was, I think, 42 were completed or in progress, and 57% hadn't yet been completed. And then when you go to the 1-year snapshot, now it's reversed essentially, right? The scales have tipped. So now only about 21% remains as far as the completed items for my scope of work, which means we're making steady work in progress. With respect to housing and pre-development, we're moving from a position of limited data. We've moved from a position of limited data and practically no structured development framework to one where we now have a framework that encompasses site analysis, completed housing needs assessment, growth projections, housing growth projections for the town, and ultimately groundwork in preparation for the issuance of an RFP. As you know, we have 3 sites that are currently being assessed by Libra planners as part of our MTAP development grant. And those sites are, through the analysis and the results of that work, will lay the groundwork for the RFPs, the issuance of the RFPs. This establishes a repeatable framework for the town, so that we can approach development projects more easily moving forward. So the MTAP grants a critical step forward in pursuit of increasing our housing stock. Again, we're in partnership with Libra planners. The focus has been redevelopment feasibility and implementation. We have monthly coordination and monthly check-ins so that we ensure that we remain on track with our scope of work and everything that was outlined within the scope of work in the project. It provides funding and technical support to move pre-development efforts towards implementation, and it creates a structured pathway for coordinating future projects under a consistent planning approach. And you can actually move forward to the next slide if you'd like. So one of the pillars of the scope of work is engaging with multiple agencies and trying to attract developers to come to town, right? So in parallel to all these efforts, relationships have been established with key agencies and partners, Rhode Island DEM, Rhode Island Housing, Army Corps of Engineer, Yukon Technical Assistance to Brownfields Program, Libra planners. This network did not previously exist in a formalized way and is essential in advancing any development activity moving forward. Maintaining and leveraging these relationships will be critical as projects begin to move forward and are ready, as they come to fruition. I want to give a snapshot of our market reality and why we haven't been so successful with developers. You can see over the past few years, steady decline in overall permits issued each year. The chart reflects that decline over recent years, and it reinforces the need for proactive planning and targeted development strategies. So to support that effort, I have a comprehensive data framework was established, which ensures future decisions are grounded in reliable information, but not only reliable, it's locally derived, right? So this ensures that decisions are made within a consistent and also defensible planning framework for the town. Key structural barriers ranging from data gaps to a lack of developer engagement have been identified and addressed through the work completed to date. Each of these areas now have a defined path forward, which allows for more predictable project advancement. As you can see, the resolution to each of these challenges is, tailoring housing strategies, active coordination in the face of procedural delays, really underscoring the fact that creating a network with developers and state agencies is essential to project management. So ultimately, the town is now positioned into transition to implementation through the issuance of RFPs, developer outreach, and public engagement. The emphasis moving forward will be on coordinated execution across these areas that I've put forward. So right now, we need to issue RFPs for the 3 municipally owned parcels. We're continuing to work on policy and zoning amendments to align with state legislation, updates in state legislation, and to potentially be more either more amenable or less restrictive for housing redevelopment in general. Targeted developer outreach, and ultimately public engagement rollout, which I do have a survey instrument and methodology framework that I plan to launch with the anticipated new website. So that will be put out soon.
Stop making excuses.
So these efforts will be undertaken in coordination with existing departmental operations and ongoing activity with the planning board. And these steps aren't conceptual at this point. They are actionable and ready to proceed. So I just wanted to kind of close this with saying that the work that this past year has been largely foundational but necessary. At this stage, the town, we're really not operating from a position of uncertainty, or we're no longer operating from a position of uncertainty. We have the data and partnerships necessary for strategic decision making when implementing our housing and development policies. So the focus moving forward is ultimately execution. We're no longer planning, we're looking to implement.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff.
Great job.
It was,
Thanks, Jeff.
yes. Yeah. Yes.
Any questions for Mr. Polo? Good.
No, that's great.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a lot of work. Are you picking on?
You were just trying to keep him from getting here, right?
So new business. First on new business, we have a recommendation to appoint a town planner. So the committee interviewed, discussed, and came to a recommendation of Jeffrey Poland to town planner.
I'll make a motion to,
If October 1st.
Effective October 1st. Yes, effective October 1st.
okay, I'll make a motion to appoint Jeffrey Poland as our town planner effective October 1st, 2026.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I've worked with Jeff quite a bit on different projects. And he's been knowledgeable. He's been with us for a year, and I think if he didn't like us, he would have left us by now. He's no, I mean, no, I mean, Jeff, he's gotten used to the town, the layout of the town, the people, what we really need, and has been able to do all that work and got us ready to the implementation process. But I've talked to Jeff about other things, other projects, and he's a wealth of knowledge, and I think he's going to be an excellent planner.
I think so too.
So we still have Peter,
Yep.
who is
Mhm.
our
Yep.
administrator of the department until September 30th, and then Peter will reduce his role to be like a consultant,
Consultant,
and
yeah.
Jeff will become the full-time once his fellowship ends.
Yep. Yeah, Jeff's definitely gonna be a great asset to this town.
Yes,
Definitely is.
absolutely.
It's what we actually need.
Then you can get a coach, Jeff.
Get a quote.
No more full.
And you won't get locked in.
Yeah, I
I
think we should lock him in. We're not going to let him go anywhere. He has to stay with us.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? No? Good. All in favor?
I,
Opposed?
Congratulations, Jeff.
Congratulations.
We're lucky to have you.
Homestead exemption reduction for fiscal year 26 and 27. Would you like to explain, Kelly?
So when we adopted the homestead exemption at 25%, it was immediately following a statistical revaluation based on, we calculated the percentage based on the number of applicants at the time, and it was always our intent to adjust that percentage so that the benefit equaled the total dollar, and we weren't distributing a greater amount of money amongst the taxpayers as applications increased. We had 70 new applications this year, which equates to about $80,000 plus. So we're reducing the percentage by 1%. It's my recommendation, actually.
Mhm.
I'm not doing it, but you are, from 23 to 22%. Ultimately, I think our goal was always to stop at 20. There's been legislation in the state before attempts to maximize the percentage at 20%. So once we naturally do this, as applications are, come in, we'll be ready for that
Yep.
change when it does occur,
Which could happen over the next few years.
which could happen.
Yeah.
But I'd like to, the advertisement was out, based on, for this upcoming financial town meeting. I'd like to put it in the narrative that the adopted homestead is reduced to 22%, and then we can discuss it further that day, if you'd
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
okay?
Yep.
Oh, to be clear, no new reapplication necessary. Everybody called
Right.
every day.
Carry.
There's
Yeah.
no need to
Carries over.
reapply. The percentage will just be adjusted naturally.
Yep. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to set the homestead exemption reduction for fiscal year 2026, 2027 at 22%.
second,
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right. Social services appointment. Someone on the committee want to speak on that?
Catherine, would you like to?
so what was this for Emma?
So the committee was myself and Catherine and Kelly,
Right,
and we had 5, well, you can read that, Catherine. You have all that information right in front of you, right?
do you want this read, Kelly? It's a letter that you had.
No.
No,
No.
okay.
So we had several applications, probably 2022 or so. We narrowed that down to about 5 or 6, and of the 5 or 6, we tried to schedule interviews. A couple had gotten jobs or positions, taken
Yeah.
positions. We a couple, we phone screened everybody, so a few applied without actually reading the advertisement, what it was, that it's part-time, what the skill set was. So a couple said thank you, but no, once they knew more about the position, they were not interested. And then we interviewed a couple of people, one of them being Emily Williams. it was the recommendation of our committee that we move forward, but I do want to say that we did check references and did a BCI check. I'm happy to say that that came out fine. And the references were stellar, actually, very, very good. Everybody said that we would never regret hiring her. She's full of enthusiasm, which I believe that department needs. I think she'll be a very strong social services director who will reach out into the community and find those most in need and actually probably create new
Programs.
new programs
Mhm.
or enhance the ones we have. I think she has a lot of energy and everybody said that we would never regret hiring her. So Emily, you heard that. Make sure it's true. And I think that she would be a really good candidate. Girls?
I think so too. Yeah, she had a lot of, did a lot of outreach stuff with what you're involved in and volunteering. So that was great. So you're very approachable. I think you're gonna do good. And you know the community. So I think you're gonna do really well. It was.
I think so
you-
too.
you were-
Emily reminded me of an Energizer bunny in the interview. Not afraid to speak. Had some good ideas for the outreach.
Yeah.
And I just got the impression that she gets along well with people, that she's very excited to work with people, and that she's not afraid if there's a little stumbling block, she's not afraid to ask for help. I'm your liaison, by the way, too.
Yep.
So I'll give you my phone number so you can reach out to me if you have a problem, or you've always got Kelly. So I think she's going to be a really good fit and will actually move our social services programs forward.
Yeah.
Great, so I will entertain a motion to appoint Emily Williams as the Social Services Director
She's indicated that she could start
as of
on May 4th. Right, Em?
Yes.
5.
I can't see you, Emily. I'm sorry.
Make that, Chris?
Well, I'll make
Make-
the
make-
motion to appoint Emily Williams as social services director beginning on May 4th, 2026.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, welcome, Emily.
Welcome
Yes.
aboard.
Big things happening in town.
Yes.
Very excited.
Mm-hmm.
Less work for me.
Forward motion.
That's it.
Yes.
Progress.
Yeah.
Preservation request monies for the National Register application. So,
You should be in possession of an email.
yeah, I do have it right here. It's right here.
You would ask that I reach out or that I get more information based from Lynn Ryder had asked that we consider moving some money from capital into a reserve for the townhouse for capital so that they could get the townhouse to be individually recognized as a historic building, correct, Lynn?
On the National Register.
On the National Register.
Yeah, Lynn, if you want.
So we do actually have the $20,000 that she had estimated, $15,000 or $20,000 in a reserve for buildings left over from the town hall renovations that we still plan to use for the town hall renovations because Gordon has a window project and we have a few things there that need to be done. So if you would like to, we could. That said, I did reach out, I filled out a contact form with the consultant that they wanted to use. They'd given me the link and he responded with that email that you have, basically stating that we are already considered a part of the historic district. And as such, that it would not limit us for any of the preservation grants that we would want to go for. I called him and had Lynn on one phone and had him on the other so that we could all be on the same page and asked him to elaborate because we were under the understanding that you did need to be individually recognized. He said that it's more of a prestigious claim than it is a necessary claim, that some people do it to have the honor of having an individually recognized ownership of an individually recognized historic building. that it was not generally a deal breaker when it came to federal grants. So Lynn was going to look into that. And then she gave me the documentation that you also have in front of you on the federal grants that she would like to, that she's specifically or they, preservation, are interested in possibly applying for. And it does in fact look like it is not a requirement. So Lynn, you can speak to now what else you would like or where you see this going. Is that okay, Steve? Sorry.
Looking at a myriad of grants that are out there, and there are many, many of them, and a very diverse number of requirements in order to be able to apply for these grants. Where it says it's not absolutely necessary to be individually documented as a National Historic Landmark. When they do when they look at the applications, they do weigh them. And if it's very close, if you're individual, then you get a little more weight in that area, as far as acceptance. Almost all of them have matching fund requirements, except I did find one. And it has a slightly different requirement. It is the Paul Brune Historic Revitalization Grant. And you can apply, at least now, I love the federal government because all of this information, it's like, I don't think they've updated it since 2024, 2025. But at that time, you could apply for 200 to 750,000. No match is required. If you happen to have a little extra money, that might boost you up in your competitive favor. Sometimes they allow you to count monies that has already been spent, even if it's grant money that has already been spent, in the effort to preserve the building. It could be, you know, when they did the windows and when they did some of the sill and the doors, and that may count.
The roof.
The roof, well, yeah, that's kind
I
of,
know.
I don't know. So what happens with this particular grant and with many of them is that you send your application to the State Historical Preservation Office, AKA SHPO. And they deal with the Park Service. This happens to be, and many of them are, Park Service grants. And they're the ones that deal with the Park Service. However, you do, if you look on the back, I don't know, I double-sided mine, but on the second sheet, I guess, where it says evaluation and selection criteria, you can see all of they call it a sub-grant when the State Preservation Office gets the grant and then they send it down to you. And there's a lot of information that needs to be put together in order to satisfy, you know, these particular criteria. There was an opportunity, unfortunately, I couldn't find one for a single building, but they gave examples where an application had been done and it would happen to be for a community area. And it was quite detailed. And sometimes you do need help with that. This particular grant gives you 3 years to complete the work. You do have benchmarks that you have to reach. And as far as being eligible, it's properties listed or determined to be eligible for the National Register of Historic Places, yes. Rural areas, yes. Properties within the grantee's jurisdiction, which is within the Rhode Island Historic Preservation Office. The only one that the town may have to do something on is at the top, certified local governments. And what that means is most of the cities and towns in Rhode Island are certified local governments for preservation. Gloucester is, surprisingly, Situate never applied. Basically, you have to come up with a preservation ordinance. You have to have one in your ordinances. You have to have, I'm trying to think what else was there. You have to have and we almost had it when we had the historic group that was looking at the land when they were thinking about putting the extension on the back of the police station or putting it into that hill. We had a group. You have to have a historic district commission that they can talk to. And there was, I have it all down there. And there was another one that was not a big, you just have to promote, this town has to actively promote the idea of preservation in their town. That's all.
It's a good year to do that.
It is a very good year to do
250th.
that. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So I didn't feel that any of those were overly burdensome. At this point, the problem seems to be, and I don't know if it's just what was online, and we had tried to get in touch with the State Preservation Office. And I heard that their building is being worked on, and I think they forgot where they put the phones. Because I've been trying, Ed Robinson has been trying, Kelly's been trying, Jeff has been trying. Yes.
Mhm.
So until we hear back from that, I don't know if the funds they're going for, they applied for $17 million from the federal government to fund this particular grant.
Cycle.
And I don't know, has it been filled? Is it going to be filled? I have no idea. SHPO would know, but we're still trying to get in touch with them. My feeling is, and once you get into this, if you have to hire, if you can see on your second page, nope, it's on the first page, that if you have to hire a grant manager, you can, and I assume that's included in the grant itself. It just can't exceed 25% of the total budget.
They
For
say
the-
that you can spend up to, with permission, like 25% for administration of the
Right.
grant.
And, you know,
A lot of grants, no, I doubt that if this is a $750,000 grant, they're gonna let you spend that kind
No.
of money.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
usually there is a 10% admin fee for a lot of the grants that even that I run, we just don't. We
Right.
usually spend all the money on the grant, on the program.
Right.
So we never really bill for the admin of it, but sometimes it can be considered in kind. And we've usually done that. We did that for the hazard mitigation grants that we did. We used the administration within the town as in-kind service so that that's how we met our match. We've done different things to meet our match, or you could actually hire a grant administrator if it's a heavy lift. And in this case, there might be a lot of RFPs, there might be a lot of, and the Historic Society is not known for being easygoing with who you hire. So, and then you also have the prevailing wage issues that the state of Rhode Island makes you adhere to. So,
there's a
there would
lot
be
that has to
some
be
money
managed.
in there for management. of-
Right,
Right.
right. And it's my feeling that even if you don't try to go for the individual historical what do you call it? Certification of the
Designation.
building. There should be some monies on hand that when we find out whether or not this is ready to go, because again, it seems that the federal government, you're the last to know, and suddenly they say, oh, the deadline is next month. That for anything that might come up, if you could keep that money that was originally designated for the townhouse in this in this way, that just keep it, and if we need it, we need it, but we'd be able to hit the ground running, because I've heard they're very, very competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 17 million, but if you go for 750, that doesn't leave a lot of room.
Yeah.
I personally think because of the kind of building it is, and that there just aren't that many of them around almost in pristine condition, that we probably have a good a good shot. Also, the fact that we are a more rural community, that seems to weigh in our favor.
And the building is actually active.
And the
It's an
building is
active
actually
building.
active.
It's not.
Exactly.
Dormant building.
Right.
Yeah.
It just hasn't
think
been
that's-
mothballed.
I'm wondering if that would be some leverage for us also.
It possibly
Maybe-
could.
maybe.
The historic people are very odd.
Yeah.
Uh, you have to speak to them in the right way. And if they get their back up, you're sunk. So you have to play nice, Kelly. They're just saying.
So this is the only one that
For the
didn't
rep?
require a match?
No, there were others, but I had to do this quickly. And this
Okay.
was one that stuck out because it was a great deal of money, which I think we are probably going to need. There is a semi-quincentennial grant that is available. However, I don't know if it was matching or not, and it was not anywhere near this amount of money.
Only it's saying here that a match is not required, but may be considered as a competitive factor.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what Lynn just
Sorry.
explained. Yeah.
Right.
There's about 15 or 20 grants that'll be
Right.
awarded.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and the fact that money has been spent on the building, even if it was a pass-through
Mhm.
from, you know, some other grant. And that, and there's also a needs component
Mhm.
that it needs to be done. It isn't just something, oh gee, I think I'd like to do that.
Mhm.
I
The
think we
building has
it's a-
You
demonstrated
can
that,
prove that.
Yeah, it's a need.
yeah, there's a need. Yeah, it's just the electrical.
So obviously, so in my opinion, you know, the town's not gonna be able to do it themselves.
Oh, no.
No,
Not-
no
it
way.
has to be done via grant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
750,000
750,000 with no match is a pretty nice,
Yeah, that would be.
pretty nice
It
grant.
would be-
That would be a good.
It would be.
We've just
know-
got to be in their face if we
Mhm.
ever find their faces. And
I think
you
we
know,
can do that.
keep haunting them.
I think we can do it.
Yeah.
If it does come to an ordinance, we can work on that, if that's part of it.
I mean,
That's
copy
something that's also-
Gloucester's, I'm sure
yeah,
it's boilerplate.
It's probably not that, you know, as long as it's not a charter thing.
No.
And for funds, in my opinion, I think that, you know, as we go forward, I think the funds will be there without reallocating right now. I think if we keep it in where it is right now,
Yeah.
Right.
I think, you know, as long, because if we're gonna dedicate to like going with PAL to actually try to get on the National Register as an individual building, even though they're saying it's okay, I say we try to apply for a grant and see what happens
And
at that
see what
point. Yeah,
happens,
I mean, I really do think we have with the townhouse, I think we have some leverage. That's an active building. There is a need. We are rural. I think there's a lot of check marks that we have there moving forward, rather than just reallocating right now and saying, yeah, let's and adding that bill to it. And it may not get us the grant. That's the other downside of that. You know, if we get on the National Register as an individual building, that doesn't mean we get the grant. It may help us, but it may not. We don't
I
know.
think also the fact that the Foster Center Historic District is so small, it is certainly, well, it's the jewel in the crown, but we just don't have that many buildings in the historic district. So
right.
it counts a lot.
Right,
Mm.
right.
It counts a lot.
Yeah, I think so too.
So Lynn, forming a historic district commission, wouldn't that just be you guys at preservation?
I don't think so. Again, if you look, there is a whole, I didn't download everything.
Okay,
But there is a way that you're supposed to do it.
okay.
And they are the ones that are just supposed to, you know, if somebody wanted to, I don't know.
Is it
put-
townspeople,
Huh?
made up of
Oh,
towns?
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Town.
And we had quite a few volunteers just for that
Yeah.
little
I'm sure we'd get some.
search
Yeah.
committee
Yeah.
when you were contemplating the police station in the middle of town.
Yeah.
So.
So, yeah, I think we'd get volunteers
Yeah.
for that if we do.
And
that.
then, so just, you know, think about getting that going so that you can, because you have to send your application for the certified local government designation
Mhm.
to SHPO, and then they send it to the Park Service.
Yeah. And obviously with this, you know, being a grant, you know, it's a town grant, but we will accept all your support from the preservation to help us put that through.
Well, that's another
Yeah.
thing. We have so
Because-
much information on that building.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure that locally, if we needed, some engine, I'm thinking one person, engineering expertise, you know, we could probably get
Right.
some,
Right. Yep.
so.
Yeah, all that support, obviously, that's what we need.
Right, because none of this, I mean, what they want you to do, and it's right to do it as it was done originally,
Mhm.
it is so expensive.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So,
Yep.
I just want to tell you, we do have a townhouse fund that we designate $30,000. Not that that's a lot, but we have about $21,000 in there right now. So we could use it for either like the start of a grant application, possibly.
Which one? So is that
We
not
have a
the,
Townhouse
The
fund.
townhouse fund.
That's not part of
Okay, I
the
didn't-
general fund.
Right.
So it's part of the, we often overlook it in the budget, but it's actually budgeted this year. You did. I can see that. That's why I'm saying we often overlook
Okay.
it. I don't because I do it, but,
Okay.
we transfer money for capital. We
Mhm.
transfer money for the townhouse and we transfer money for the OPEB fund.
Okay.
So it's one of the, I mean, we could start actually maybe possibly trying to increase what we transfer into the townhouse fund going forward.
yeah.
But
I
right
think-
now it's 3,000 and we have a cumulative $21,000 in there for possible small match or like to hire somebody
Yep.
to write a grant if we need some assistance or something like that,
Yep.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
if necessary. I just thought that after we discussed it, Lynn, and the person, and even Jeff and the person that we spoke to from the organization you wanted to hire, it's very unusual for a consultant that you're trying to hire to say that you don't need me,
Right.
right? And that's basically what he said. So
Yep.
he wouldn't take that lightly. So he wouldn't say that lightly.
Yeah.
So
I have no
think-
idea if that company or another company is something that SHPO reaches out to get more information about, you know,
Yeah.
whatever kind of information
It's possible, but we did ask if he would possibly be able to help us write a grant and he said that's not something they do.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
strictly work with the
Right.
Yep.
Right, right.
the
I know
designation.
John Lewis has been working with preservation. He's managed to get us many small grants,
Yeah.
but there is a historical grant formula.
Mhm.
You have to speak their language and you have to know how to embellish in a positive way, you know, like how many indigenous peoples do we have in town?
Yeah.
Well, who knows?
I got
There are
the census.
many, many
Got the
burial
census.
grounds around.
Yeah, we got the census, so I got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Mr. Rogers?
People don't
Yeah.
follow.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, you gotta speak
You
up
gotta come up
there.
here, please. Thank you. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Gordon Rogers, 61 Cucumber Hill Road. I have been in contact with the Rhode Island Preservation Society. It was difficult, but I've had emails back and forth with them. I did a little bit of research. But I just did Google, because this is the first time I've heard national recognition, just to try and put that into a scope. When I was checking out the National Register of Historic Places in Rhode Island, this does count one as many in town. There's 17,500 registered in that, and it goes town by town by town. You can go right on and go right through it. So there's 17,500 in the state of Rhode Island. And you gotta understand, our history is very old. We've got Newport, we got downtown Providence, Roger Williams. We've got a lot of historical stuff. To put it in context, there are only 45 right now designated historical landmarks in the state of Rhode Island. So that's the bar you're gonna have to hit.
Mm.
It seems to me it's gonna be a pretty high bar to get listed on that level. So I just wanted to put that input.
Yeah.
They are, for example, General Nathaniel Green's homestead, East Light, Brick Market, Newport, and the old
Mhm.
State House are all part of those 45. It's a pretty high bar, so
Yeah.
hopefully we can make it.
Yeah, if those people aren't applying for grants, we might be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I think the fact that we haven't applied before.
That helps too.
It's
It
the oldest
is-
meeting
it
house,
is-
right?
You can, I mean, you direct it right back to 1797.
Yep.
1796 when it was built. So, and it really hasn't changed all that much. No, you know, it's not like it was turned into something else,
No, it just moved a little bit.
so.
Yeah.
But
No,
they put
I-
it
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. So I don't.
We don't need
we
a
don't
motion
need
for
to vote on
anything.
that, but No, but that was, thank you, Lynn,
Thank you.
in preservation. We're definitely gonna move forward with that because it's needed.
It is.
Great, it's a great building. And that's why we're having our meetings there next 3 months.
Yep.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'll do it, Cal.
All right,
Not afraid of bugs.
ordinance change, item number 5, ordinance change, section 26-133, applicability, National Flood Insurance Program.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just the flood map that we're changing.
Yeah, so as you are aware, I guess, any municipality that participates in the National Flood Insurance Program must adopt and enforce any change to federal requirements. So when FEMA makes a change to the flood insurance rate maps, the municipality must formally adopt that change, I believe through ordinance or resolution. The legality of that, I'm not sure, so I'm assuming we're gonna
Yeah.
move the ordinance.
Let's
So
do that.
that's that.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to approve the ordinance change, section 26-133, applicability, National Flood Insurance Program.
I don't think that's the process, right?
Oh, no, we'll get up. I'm sorry. Yep,
Next, we're gonna.
next one.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're
just-
gonna have to have public hearing on it anyway? No, we don't have to. Okay.
That's right. Twice, yeah.
Yeah.
Next.
Okay.
Yeah. Next one. All right, North Forster Baptist Church, building possible acquisition. So, they reached out to me, a little while ago now about interest in the North Forster Baptist Church. Of them donating it to the town. I said that we'd have to review it. I think it's a great idea for the town. It is gonna be a cost to the town, due to a new building. But I think it's gonna be great for the town. I really do. So personally, I am interested, but I want to open this up for discussion. If anyone would like to speak on it. There's a lot of opportunity.
There definitely is a lot of opportunity. We had, number one on the community survey was, business. From bringing revenue generating business. And number two was senior services.
Yeah.
So I think, this would give us an opportunity to have a senior center.
Yeah.
And
Which we have no other building that could actually provide that.
exactly.
Good.
And I think that's great with new Energizer Bunny for a social services director who might be interested in something like that. But I think that's something that the town really needs. I had thought about I told Steve about this, like a veterans coffee house. They have one in Connecticut that I go to meetings there occasionally, but our veterans out here, they have nothing.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a place where they could gather and they could have some kind of a veterans gathering, like once a month or something. Also with a hall, we have the opportunity to rent that out for birthdays,
Another rental.
showers, all of that kind of
Yep.
stuff, to offset some of the cost of electricity
Right.
and things like that. But I do think it has, a ton of potential.
Yeah. It's a
For
nice-
the
it's a
town.
Nice building.
And yes, and to work to helping some of those groups like the seniors
Yeah.
and the veterans and any, like the other groups. There's Young at Heart does theirs in Situate, I
There's a
believe
lot of
now.
opportunity, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it looks
There's-
like it has.
Oh, what, at
handicap
Northwestern?
accessibility.
Oh, I thought they were up at, oh, okay. But I think it gives us a lot of opportunities.
Yeah,
I'm in
and-
favor of
And
it.
I'm also, I think it's great too that they can continue to worship there if they choose.
Yes.
In my opinion, I think that's
Mhm.
something
Yeah.
the town, would allow services there.
Yep.
I think that's a good thing to continue the services so they can still worship there. I personally don't have any problems with that either.
Mhm.
So I think it's a great opportunity for the town. I really do. Discussion? Yes. I don't know. Sorry.
Lynn Ryder, having just combed through the comprehensive plan, not an easy feat. There is so much in there about developing a sense of place and having the community come together. And that is the perfect building because you have a ready-made venue for music or whatever. And the kitchen is huge. And they have kept, you know, even with their money woes, they have kept that building up pretty well.
Yeah.
It's got ample parking in the back. And you know, it may, you know, it's not as quite as out of the way as the Woody Loudon,
Right.
a little easier to get to.
Yeah.
And all of our groups, because if you've ever been having a group and you are looking for a venue in this town, because you want to stay in the town to do whatever you want to do, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
It is.
And I think that would, it would serve the town well, and it's nice to see that building preserved, because that's another 1800s building.
Yeah.
And it has, you know, practically a jacuzzi right in the front, because under where the minister stands
Yes,
is
the dunk tank.
Yeah, is the dunk tank.
I remember that. I did,
So,
I did
look
the
it
dunk
up.
tank when I was like 8.
Yes.
I gotta move over.
Good evening, Council. My name is Bill Sundberg, and I am chairman of the trustees of the church. And when we were having some financial difficulties, I got a hold of Steve Bullock. And to see if you would be interested in taking it over, it was suggested that you might be. And he said, yes, we're very interested. And I said, could we split the property for the parsonage and the church? But we've kind of yielded to that. And we would give you the property, also the parsonage. But we also have a couple of stipulations. One would be that the pastor could stay in the parsonage for up to until the first of the year. And he would stay there rent-free, but he would pay the utility, so it wouldn't cost you anything for that. And the other one is to keep the sanctuary open, like you said, for funerals, for weddings, and for occasional people meeting for church. So that's basically it. We do have another interesting party, and that is ABCORI. And ABCORI is the American Baptist Churches of Rhode Island. If they buy it, they would use the money to keep ABCORI going. But they would also put some money into the pastor's retirement. So if you want it, we've got to bring this up to a meeting with our parishioners to see which way they want to go. We did have a meeting this Tuesday, and we met and we voted to close, and we're going to be closing June 15th. And I believe if you do accept it, Margaret, what did you bring up that we should suggest?
Deed restriction.
A deed restriction, so if your council changes, you can't change keeping the parsonage, keeping, keeping that as that. The sanctuary, the sanctuary as a sanctuary. Now, I don't know how the legal things work on that, so.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to discuss.
Yeah. Right. So that's about it.
So, when will you be meeting to?
We haven't set that meeting up yet. This Sunday we'll have a trustees meeting and we'll set that date up.
Okay. How?
Okay, do we have any
I think Kelly, did you want to say something?
Yeah.
Figure out, because we have a financial tummy.
Yes.
So is there a cost to purchasing this at this point? Because
No, there's no
Well, he's
cost of
saying that
purchasing.
They have another offer on it, and
It's
they're
not an
offering
offer,
to,
it's not an offer, it's something AppCori will do when a church is going under.
okay,
They will take it over. But they're not gonna keep it as a church, they're gonna sell it.
okay.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
on them.
okay.
That's on them. Yeah, so we're not, that's not gonna have to be part of the. finance committee.
Oh, it doesn't have to be.
No, I
Talking to
spoke
Joanna.
with solicitor.
You did,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it does not have to be a part of,
Not on-
oh, at the financial town meeting.
Correct.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Not on taking it on.
Right.
If we do something with it going forward, then we would.
That's how I thought it was.
All right.
So I think this is a great opportunity
Yeah.
for you to be able to still use the church.
Yeah.
And that's like home to the church. And for us to be able to provide something for those residents that don't have services here, like the senior.
Actually, I spoke with the solicitor on that too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Oh.
definitely. Yeah, if you could just come up here, please. Just so everyone, because people at home that listen, sorry.
It's one of the oldest sanctuaries in the town. I mean, that church goes back to well into the 1800s.
If you could just, 1824 it was built.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I did a little research and I found out that, the members of the church are this is very important to them, that it continue to be available for worship
Mhm.
as a church. And, as you know, we have a division of church and state in the Constitution, and that can be a little cumbersome at times. But if we researched it, and if you use the church, if you structure it in a way that it is religious neutral, and there's no preference among religions, you would and avoid any governmental endorsement of who uses that
Mhm.
church. You're not in any way violating the United
Yep,
States.
and that's always been
Constitution.
my approach,
Mhm.
thoughts on that.
Yeah.
We're not endorsing any religion. It's basically we're allowing you to use it.
Right. And so you'd open it to anyone that would like to use that
Yep,
sanctuary.
Which we would.
Say you would have to make sure that paraphernalia, I don't know what type of religious
Right,
icons maybe in the church.
right.
You would have to have some sort of discussion about that as well,
Yep.
because, I see that there's a cross on the front at least,
Right.
so. Might be
Mhm.
certain things that could stay, but other things maybe over the line, you would have to perhaps, take those down. You could bring them in during your services, but they would have to be removed after the service. Over them up? I don't think that would.
What was the case about the Cranston Town Hall? Yes. Yeah, it went to the United States Supreme Court. And so that and the keeping it as a community center would be
Yeah.
contained in the deed
Mhm.
of conveyance. This is a 501c3 organization, which is a nonprofit, can
Yep.
accept donations. And the restriction on 501c3s is that they have to distribute their assets to another charitable
Right.
organization, and the municipality qualifies under that. So it works as long as there's no money exchanged and there's no private individuals benefiting from the conveyance. So, but I'll be happy to work with you on the deed and all of that. I promise. Yeah, so, are you gonna be doing a title exam, you think?
So Joanna Keely is the solicitor, I'm kind of
Yeah.
filling in for her today, but I'm assuming that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna be in the vault for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right, well, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jane.
Yes.
I think it's a great idea. The timing concerns me within my budget, because as you know, I'm in charge of buildings and grounds. When you're taking on a parsonage, I understand that the priest will be handling all the day-to-day utilities on that building, but if you have something that breaks a furnace, gotta be checked, this or that. You've got that entire building, the church, you're gonna have to heat, you're gonna have to insure. That isn't part of mine, but maintenance issues, light bulbs, I get called a lot, especially if you start renting it out, it drives it to a higher level where, I see a moth or something may happen where you may have to have. You may.
Kelly, that was directed
You may
at
have
you.
Small incidents that rise to the level of several thousands of dollars, a window leak and a sash need to be changed. So, that being said, again, our budget is gonna be voted on in May, we may have to adjust my buildings and grounds to reflect the possibility of trying to maintain that building for a calendar year going forward.
Yeah.
So that would
And that's
be,
why I brought that up in the beginning.
that would be, and again, only having 6 guys and having my budget cut 2 years in a row and possibly a third, the maintenance issues are becoming extremely, extremely scary.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we definitely understand that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just, there's gonna have to be rolled into a budget number, and I'll sit down with Kelly and
Okay.
kind of go over what I think might be considering what I deal with other buildings
Okay.
on a cost for heating, air conditioning, electricity, and nicks and knacks.
Yeah.
in
Well, the
malls.
church, you would have some record of like what your, well, I know,
You may not
electric
be
bills.
using it on the level, they may
Like
only
it's
be
the same.
using it on a Sunday, so.
No, that's true.
So you'll have to look
Yeah.
at a building, try and come up with a number and the what ifs, there's always what ifs.
Yeah.
I've gone in with a buildings and ground budget and I've had fire marshal issues, I've had mold issues that have taken thousands of dollars. And I'm behind the 8 ball and never really get caught up, so you gotta be prepared.
We have money put aside, left over from the town hall. That's for buildings and grounds maintenance, for capital. If worse comes to worse, we don't use it for the windows. and
Well, we gotta
use
get
it for
those
that.
windows, so that's.
That wasn't budgeted for the windows.
Oh, wasn't?
This is a reserve left over from the
Okay,
second floor of
alright.
the townhouse. So we also did use, we did budget money for the windows for this year, but we did have some money left over. I'm just saying, worst comes to worst, if we don't get money added to the budget at the financial town meeting, because somebody and your department doesn't go to vote, whatever happens, we do
Yeah.
have some money there.
Okay.
Well, first of all, some of them don't live in town.
I know.
Uh, And second, I'm talking about an operating budget that I want,
I
I don't want to reflect taking it on this year and then all of a sudden next year we come up and the budget goes up and you need to reflect what you're taking on in that moment in time.
Yep.
You don't need to
No, I
add a budget with surplus funds on an operating budget that's gonna be there next year.
I agree. I agree.
And also you couldn't use it for electricity and that type of
Right.
thing anyway, it would have to be for.
It had to be for capital improvement.
Of a town-owned building.
Right,
Yes.
right. Okay. Yes.
Reverend Barry Aruda, pastor of the North Foster Baptist Church. I just have a question from the town's perspective, because I'm not familiar with, how this would work from the town's end of things. What do you see as a time frame? Like, how long would it take? Like, we have a date in terms of set for closure. What are the things that from the town's end you would need to do in order to take over?
I
Well,
think that's a question for the solicitor.
Well, we have to
Yeah.
review the
Yeah.
legal side of it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
First of all.
yeah.
We have to do a walkthrough ourselves. We have to do our
Okay.
own walkthrough. I think after that, we would still have to come to another town council meeting, so it's definitely not gonna be before a town council meeting. So,
Okay.
we have 2 in May. So if we can get it on one of them in May, I don't know if we can get it done that quick, but it does have to be done in front of the town council again. We'll get
Okay.
it to vote on it.
All right. For example, would a survey have to be done of the property? I know that's often what happens during the exchange of property, but with a gift, does that,
I'm not
does
sure.
that
I'm not
apply or
sure.
does that not
It
apply?
depends.
I don't think it
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, I don't really know. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's an extra.
Yeah.
A survey would
Yeah.
be an extra. Yeah.
So if you had to guesstimate, what would be a time frame, like the earliest possible?
I don't like
you'd
to
be
guess,
able
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. Yeah, I wouldn't hold you to it. I'm just trying,
Yeah.
it's helpful to be able to
I
give
know,
the
I know.
congregation information about how this is going, because if we're ending on the 15th, and you have a date months ahead, like what's going to happen in the interim, we need to deal with that,
Right.
right? So the trustees or whoever who's going to be remaining, taking care of the property would need to be. taking
So
care of
our
it.
goal is to try to get it done before June 15th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say that would all be negotiable.
Yeah.
Negotiable. Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jane, there's really not a lot more than a conveyance deed. Yes.
Yeah.
with the original church lot, I didn't get that, but I got all of them.
Okay.
So, and many of them are serving, so.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah,
Okay.
work with the solicitor.
Thank you.
Insurance, yeah, we're looking
Yeah.
at insurance on this. Yeah,
Yeah.
Liability.
yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to have some information to be able to pass along to people.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to give you a
Obviously-
date, but I
That-
don't. it's
That's
not-
okay. I didn't think you'd be able to give
Yeah.
me a hard and fast date or specifics, but it'd be helpful for us to have an idea of how long.
But we are gonna
need to
progress. We're
maintain
moving.
things.
We're not gonna sit on it.
Okay.
So,
Insurance is a quick turnaround too, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
we use Rhode Island Interlocal Trust. They could give us a quote within a week, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And a binder for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Within that time.
Steve, you
Yeah.
have my telephone number to
I
get
do.
hold of me? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And insurance, we pay it by the month. So,
Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah, so you
so-
want to know,
yeah.
yeah,
But
for that purpose.
But we could go a little bit longer,
Okay,
paying for that, but yeah, the quicker the better on this.
okay.
Yes.
All right.
Too bad we had to let you know this quick, but it was in our bylaws that when we get down to $10,000, that's when we have to make the decision.
Yep.
Oh,
Ah.
10,000
Yeah.
doesn't last too long.
No.
Right.
no,
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
yep,
thank you.
yes, sorry.
The solicitor might want to check with preservation because Spalding's left a tremendous amount of North Gloucester Baptist Church records with preservation. I
Oh,
don't know,
okay.
I mean, it's volume after volume.
Yep.
I don't know exactly what's in there, but we may have something that isn't somewhere
That may be,
else.
maybe needed, okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay,
Nice.
we are moving forward with that. Legislative grant for Forster PD. Mr. Rogers, Senator Rogers?
My other hat on. Come on up here, Tyler. So, we do a lot of legislative grants and luckily Tyler, with a little push, got it in under the wire. So people understand how the grant works. They actually have to apply and request for something and verify it, and then it has to be verified at the State House before they'll sign off it. So there was a little bit of paperwork on the police department that they have to do. So I want to thank them for doing that to continue to get this grant in. Force is a big benefit of a lot of the legislative grants I get. So with that, it's $1,000 grant. I'm gonna hand to Tyler, and I'm sure Kelly's gonna say, bring it over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Senator Rogers.
Hand it over. Hand it over.
It's like you're married, Tyler.
Yeah, there's.
All right, I see no one signed up for a public comment, but if anyone would like to speak, no? Nobody? No? Good? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.